Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you all. My name is Elo. I'm a Programs Associate here at Foundation. If you can hear me, just say yes in the chat. Great. Okay, so a few people can hear me, that's fine. Thank you so much for joining us for today's session. We're really grateful to have you. If you could do a quick introduction in the chat as well of your name, your organization, and where you're listening from, that would be great to give us an idea of who we have with us here today. Also, if you know anyone who this session will be especially beneficial to, please share with them the link, let them know that we have started, and then we'll continue shortly. So please introduce yourself in the chat and tell us what organization you're working from. Hi, Xavier. Hello, Olanike from Teenage Network Abuja. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Adebanjo from Ayopatogo Foundation. Hi, Bunyo Latunde, Deputy Director of New Nigeria. We're glad to have you here with us. Hello, Damilare of Library Aid Africa. Hi, Janet. Nice to have you here with us today. Hello, Twain. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Hi, Saratu from ENWBN. Hello, Ogenovo Godwin from Amen Healthcare. Good to have you here. Okay, thank you all so much. So I'll just take a few ground rules and then we'll hit the ground running with the rest of the session for today. We're really conscious of time, so I'll start. Give me a second. Yes, so just a few ground rules as we start the session. Please mute your mics when you're not speaking to help us to reduce as much interference as possible. Also, when you do unmute your mic, be mindful of the background noise. So if you're in an area where you can't really speak, it's okay to just keep your microphone muted. If your video is turned on, please position your camera properly. If you'd like to speak, respond to a question or ask a question, please use the raise hand feature. And then I would request that you unmute and speak so that multiple people are not attempting to speak at the same time. Very importantly, we'll have polls put up at some point during the session just to get your feedback on either the session or the demographic of where you're joining us from. So please complete the polls when they do come up. As much as you can, avoid multitasking. You know how it is, it's a virtual session, so there's a tendency of wanting to also be doing something else, but if you can, maximize the time that you have committed to registering and then attending this session. And as you know, you're not going to remember everything, so please take as much notes as you can. Thank you all so much. I'd like to now officially open today's session with an opening address from my Director of Grants and Programs here at Aspire Foundation Trust Foundation, Ms. Indifeke Opebuna. Ms. Andy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. We don't take it for granted that you're spending a few hours of your day with us today, and we're grateful that you're doing that. My name is Ndifreke Okwegbunam. I'm Director of Programs and Grants here at ACT Foundation. Today we're going to be having a conversation around strategy, non-profit strategy, and we're very excited about this because over the past few years of us doing this work, we have had conversations and trainings that have happened every single month for the past 5 years, where we have empowered people and we've learned lessons. We have heard the challenges that non-profits and social enterprises face in the work that they do. We have had conversations around systems change, around fundraising, branding and communication, M&E, designing and implementing a program. And all of these trainings have helped us see that there's a need for us to strengthen capacity in the sector so that we can do great work and that we can continue to impact lives and create the change that we want to see. So we're going to continue doing this. And the conversation we are going to talk about, the topic we're going to be discussing today is to enable every organization here to understand what strategy is and how they should be thinking around their strategy to ensure that we're making impact on the continent. We strongly believe that Africans can work together to solve African problems. Also, ACT Foundation is 5 years, and we're super excited about that. We've been 5 years of doing great work, impacting lives through the organizations that we work with, and also with you, right? As we believe that as we help you improve your organizations, you grow and your organization becomes sustainable. So join us in celebrating this year as we celebrate 5 at our upcoming breakfast dialogue, which is going to be in September 28th to be exact. It's going to be a hybrid event. We're going to have a few people present physically. We understand that our network has grown so much. We're not just serving Nigerians, we're serving individuals and organizations on the continent. So please, if you're not able to join us physically, please join us virtually. It's happening September 28th. We have a great lineup of speakers, and we're going to be talking about issues, development issues that can help us do impactful work, as well as bring stakeholders, engage stakeholders to ensure that we're making an impact on the continent. Welcome again, and thank you for spending these next few hours with us. I hope you have a great time. And I want to finally just encourage us, please, after the session, kindly share your feedback with us. We're going to be sending you surveys. Please share your feedback. It's only with your feedback that we can become better. So please share your feedback with us so that we can improve on the topics that we share, the speakers that we bring, and even in our engagement to ensure that we are strengthening capacity. Thank you again, and welcome to this open conversation with ACT Foundation.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that opening address, and congratulations to us on turning 5. Now, just to buffer on that, we're going to be sharing a bit about ACT Foundation. We're not going to assume that everyone here know of us or have heard of us. So we'll be sharing just a little bit about the work that we do. And to do that today is Senior Programs Executive here at ACT Foundation, Abiodun Owo. Abiodun is here.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Hello. Okay, so in the next few minutes, I will be talking about ACT Foundation. So who are we? Aspire Coordination Trusts Foundation is a grant-making organization. We were established in 2016 to support local, national, and regional non-profit organizations who are working to address challenges as well as vulnerabilities across African continent. So why was ACT Foundation established in the first place? So around the time that Nigeria, just like many other African countries, were experiencing a lot of challenges, there was recession, there were issues around health, there were issues around so many other things. And then we looked around and saw that a lot of the interventions that were happening in African countries were mainly external support. And then the founders of this great organization took a step back and said, it's high time we started solving our own problems. We cannot continue to depend on foreigners to come solve our problems for us. And that was literally what birthed ACT Foundation. We started operating in 2017, and here we are today. Our vision is to leverage relationships to create effective social impact solutions across Africa. And how do we do that? We engage initiatives that unleash potential and empower beneficiaries. So we work with nonprofits, we work with social enterprises who have set out to make meaningful impact in their communities and in the spheres of influence. So for any organization to succeed, of course, it is very important that we have a direction. And so for us at ACT Foundation, we know that the problems are huge. We know that the challenges in Africa are so much. However, we cannot solve all of the problems. So we start from somewhere. That is why we have decided to focus on 4 areas, which is health, entrepreneurship, environment, and leadership. In the area of health as well, we have focused on malaria. You would know that malaria has been endemic in Nigeria and even other countries for as long as we know. And it's a huge health burden here. Other areas that we also make intervention in the area of health is cancer, which is breast cancer, cervical, and prostate cancer. We also work in the area of maternal and child health. And then I move on quickly to entrepreneurship. In the area of entrepreneurship, we also focus on building vocational skills and also financial literacy and inclusion. In the area of environment, we do waste management and water and sanitation. Finally, in leadership, we do leadership development, especially for young people. We know that if we can change the mindsets of young people in Nigeria and in African countries, then we stand to gain a lot. The other thing we also do in leadership is thought leadership. Okay. Now, still on being successful, we know that for us to actually make meaningful impact, it is important for us to align with global best practices, global standards. And so we design our interventions in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. You know that we have 17 of them. And at Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation, we work directly to achieve 9 of this. And then these actually impact indirectly on other 8. So we literally work to align ourselves with all of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so we have established that we provide grants for nonprofits, for social enterprises, but then we don't just provide grants and go to sleep and expect our partners to do all of the work and then come back with success. No. We of course, we do monitoring interventions with them, and then we also do some sort of hand-holding session, and that is where the professional volunteer program comes in. This is where we have subject matter experts, professionals in different areas, say monitoring and evaluation, strategic planning, project management, and so on. And then with our partners, with those nonprofits that we're providing grants for, we engage them on a periodic basis where they come to talk about the challenges they're facing, and these professionals provide answers to them as much as possible. Besides that, one of our strategic objectives is also to build the capacity of organizations in the social sector. So an open conversation like you're here now is aimed at building capacity of nonprofits, of social enterprises on specific issues. Apart from our open conversation, we also have sector insights. This we do not do alone at ACT Foundation. We do in collaboration with organizations with reputable influence also in the social sector, where we look at issues, and we have a professional who comes to talk about it, and our audiences gain from that. Apart from that, we also have research that we publish. We have published around cancer, we have published around digital transformation, and a couple of other things. If you visit our website, you'll see the publications that we have so far. Sometime in the month of April, we also launched our podcast, which is aimed at also educating nonprofits, social enterprises, and also providing a platform for us to actually tell the African story. Africans are doing a lot in Africa, so why don't we tell our story? So the podcast is available on our podcast. If you follow us on YouTube, you'll find our videos there. Finally, we host a conference annually, which is known as the Breakfast Dialogue. This is a gathering of experts, professionals in the private sector, the public sector, as well as the social sector. We know that we cannot actually achieve any form of sustainable change in our country, in our continent, without having this sort of partnerships and collaboration. So every year we bring experts together to come and talk about pertinent issues and to discuss way forward on how we can solve Africa's challenges. At the conference, we also celebrate changemakers who are doing great work, especially harnessing technology in what they do, which is known as the Changemakers Innovation Challenge. And yes, my director mentioned that we are 5 years this year, and in just 5 years, I pride myself to say that we have achieved so much. And of course, we still have a lot more to achieve. We have reached 2.2 million people, of course, not by ourselves, but through our partners. We have reached over 800 communities in Africa. We have reached 8 countries in Africa. We are in all of the 6 states in Nigeria, and we've done a couple of interventions in health, in entrepreneurship, in environment, and also in leadership. And so far, we have engaged over 80 nonprofits. Okay, yes, so I have mentioned that we have reached all over Nigeria. We have reached all the 6 states in Nigeria and in 8 countries in Africa. We hope to do more as we grow. So this is just to also talk a little bit more about our impacts at the organization. We have organized series of capacity building trainings for which our participants have testified that they have taken value out of these training sessions. Our research and publication is available on our website. You can visit our website to see them. And yes, through our conference, we have reached over 1,700 people who have gained something and who have taken back something to their organizations to see what they can do to improve Africa. And yes, through our Changemakers Innovation Challenge, we have also, helped 9 leaders, 9 change makers to actually scale their projects, all in a bid to meet needs in Africa, to create effective social impact solutions in Africa. So this is just to see a few of our partners: Charities Aid Foundation America, Unilever, Sony, Novartis, Oracle, GIZ, amongst others. You can reach us on YouTube at Aspire Foundation, Facebook and LinkedIn. Yes, you can visit our website, and also we are available on Instagram at @foundation_. Okay, so I'll leave you to get to the subject matter today. Over to you.
I want to use my screen.
Thank you, everyone. For that in-depth presentation of who we are. Now I'll be introducing our speaker for today. Give me a moment. Okay, so before then, we would like to take a short poll just to get your feedback on your expectations for the session today. Please let me know if you can see the polls. Are you able to see the polls? Just respond in the chat with a yes if you can. Okay, just give me 1 second. How about now? Can you see the polls now? Thank you very much. Thank you. So just take a moment to feel. So far, no one has completed it, it seems. Please just complete the polls and answer the questions. They're really short and they will help us to better improve on the trainings that we do. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to stop when we get to the halfway mark. Thank you so much. I think over 50 of us have. I think over 50 of us have completed the polls, and that's fine. So we will go straight into our session. I'd like to introduce our speaker. So today we have with us here today Ms. Elens-Edeh. She's a current development consultant, researcher, and public speaker. She's a founder and principal consultant at Social Impact Consulting, and the core of her work is focused on helping organizations to realize the power to impact, to enact change in their communities. We're glad to have you here with us, Ms. Efua. Can you hear me? Ms. Efua, can you hear me? We can't hear you if you're speaking. I see that you're muted, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so my webcam decided to do its own thing this morning, but I assure you I have a video, so you guys will see my face indirectly. So again, apologies for, technology, you gotta love it, but sometimes its own challenges. But I'd like to see your faces though. Okay, so we are going to get started shortly. Let me just share my screen with you. Let's see. So we're going to be talking about essentials of nonprofit strategy. So when ACT Foundation is like a family to me. So when your family asks you to do something, you just gotta do what you can to make it happen. So what ACT Foundation, the ACT Foundation family has asked me to do, it's like what I would normally do in a 2-day seminar. So I'm just going to try and squeeze as much as possible in the allotted time given for this presentation. So if you have any questions, just put it in the chat section. I'll do my best to answer those for you, okay? So before I get started, if you can just do a quick introduction on the chat section so that I can kind of know who folks are and where they are from. Just for a quick minute, okay? Just put that in your chat section. Let me know who you are, what organization you're from. Very quickly. Very quickly. Just let me know who you are, your name and your organization. I know there are over 100 of us, but let me just get a sense of who I'm talking to today. Okay, let me look at the chats. Just a second. All right, I'm seeing names. Oh, I'm seeing Nike here. I'm seeing quite a few organizations here. This is exciting. Awesome. I'm from various states across the country. I'm seeing Uganda. I'm seeing Niger State. I'm seeing Warri. I'm seeing individuals. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Ondo State, Lagos. Lagos is represented. I see Aba, Abuja. Okay, this is exciting. From Lagos. So I saw Uganda, I saw Lagos. This is very, very, very Umuahia, Abia State. Beautiful, beautiful. Jos, Abuja, Yola, nice. Kaduna, Edo State. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yola. Very, 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 very good. I'm so excited about this because I'm going to have a few exercises for us to do so I can kind of get to know some of us individually through this session. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you so much. So now we're going to get started. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. Hopefully this works. I hope did the slide change? Say yes or no. Did the slide change, yes or no? Because sometimes you do this stuff and it just doesn't change and then you keep talking. Yes, okay, yes, beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get started. So I am a very passionate development enthusiast. I lived in Chicago for over 15 years, in which I worked in the nonprofit sector. I know most of us here, you know, the development sector called us. We didn't call it. There are a few of us, you know, that went into social change, went into programmatic interventions, went into advocacy, but some of us, it called us, we didn't call it. So, so I worked in a nonprofit sector, but had a degree in biochemistry, go figure. So after doing an internship in an organization on the north side of Chicago, my career just kind of went into the direction of the development sector. So I worked in organizations in Chicago and the Midwest, worked on various reforms, criminal justice, elections, healthcare, outreach to in and out of school youth, you know, education. I worked with a senior team in an organization that developed systems that increased our revenue from $150,000 to over $3 million. Okay. So I came back to Nigeria. Let me see if I can hide this just a second. I came back to Nigeria, had kids, got married, and then became the executive director of Junior Achievement Nigeria. The organization was almost 2 decades old. Now it's over 20 years, you know, doing great things. So I had huge shoes to fill. I was able to learn about the nuances in the development sector to a certain extent in Nigeria, and then learned a lot about how corporate governance is done within the development sector because they've been able to do it for over 2 decades, okay? Then I became a consultant at NDI, National Democratic Institute. And then from there, I worked with other international agencies like Chemonix International, DevSec Tech Systems, Genesis Analytics, various other international and even local groups I've facilitated. I've done trainings, I've done strategic planning sessions. I just love to engage with bright minds. It's just a passion of mine. Currently, because of the kind of minds that I engage with, I'm a content creator and you know, development documentary filmmaker, because I feel in order to make attitudinal change, you need to be able to communicate with the masses. So I'm also a video podcaster of the development sector series, which is Dev Sector series. Been doing that for over 2 years and talked to some of the brightest minds in the country in the development sector, okay? My social media platforms, Facebook, Social Impact Consulting, Twitter at Social Impact Co1, Instagram, Social Impact Consult, LinkedIn, just go on Efua and Social Impact Consulting. And then YouTube, which is the one I'm going to really be pushing throughout this whole presentation, because a lot of what I'm going to discuss, if you want more details about it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I mean, I have a lot of goodies in terms of what you need to know about running a nonprofit organization. Okay, so all that is in my YouTube channel, Social Impact Consulting, the channel with the big blue S, as you see in the logo. So here's the outline. I just took the outline from what ACT Foundation wanted me to talk about today. It's a lot of information in this one session, but I'm going to do the best I can so that I can also engage with you as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about the concept of strategy and why it is important. We're going to be talking about the connection of the organization's strategy, mission, and vision. We're going to talk about theory of change. We're going to be talking about stakeholder management, and then we're going to even go down into discussing further into strategic planning, okay? And then the implementation and evaluation of strategy. Please just give me 1 second.
But that's the same document that you need while you were sitting in my office, and then you just sent it to me. Where is it? You understand? That's
Sorry about that again. So we're going to be talking about.
why would you suggest it? That's the thing. What are you?
Can you hear me? So
Yes,
we're
we
going
can.
to, sorry about that intrusion. So we're going to be talking about strategic planning. We're going to be talking about the implementation and evaluation. So this is a lot of information. So I'm going to make sure that you get as much of it as possible. And then if you have any questions, we'll give a bit of room for questions and answers, okay? So now we're going to get started. So the question is, what is strategy? There's something that the good book says, which is the Bible, that a general does not go into war without understanding the cost implications in getting into that war. Doesn't know what the resources that he or she has in order to get into a battleground and know what to do. So that's what a strategy is. Strategy is divided into 2 words, which is strategos and tacticus. Strategos is general, tacticus is foot soldiers. That's why on the chessboard, you have more pawns than the various titles behind the pawns, okay? So you have the foot soldiers. So it's the art and the science of planning and marshaling resources for their most efficient and effective use. Some of the most successful nonprofit organizations, they may not have all the money in the world, but they know how to use the limited resources they have, okay, for their more strategic. So strategy is a method or plan chosen to bring about a desired future, such as an achievement of a goal or solution to a problem. So what ACT Foundation is saying is that they want their grantees and even other nonprofits to know how a strategy connects to the vision and the mission of the organization. We're going to be talking now further on the critical role of strategy, okay? When you started your organization, you began with a problem that you wanted to solve. So I'm just going to take 30 seconds. What problem did you want to solve when you started your organization? Put that in the chat. Let's see. What was the problem you saw that you needed to solve? Put that in the chat. Let's see. What problem did you identify that you wanted to solve? I'm waiting. So so somebody said trafficking, somebody said low immunization, somebody talked about sexual and gender-based violence, accessibility to quality health services, mental health awareness and drug substance prevention, deficiency in values among young persons, access to good vision for everyone. I can't read everything, but I'll read ICT skills, okay? So reducing mobility and mortality rates as a result of curable and preventable diseases, reducing poverty, reducing cancer rates. Anybody else? Valuable nutrition. Anybody else? Women and child poverty and education. Women empowerment, education, inclusion for disability children. Educational materials to improve education. Gender misrepresentation, sickle cell education, health and safety education, insecurity and social cohesion, adolescent and reproductive health. I see a hand raised, just give me a few seconds, give me a few minutes, and then I will get to your question. Inequitable access to quality education opportunities, women and youth empowerment, financial literacy and the inclusion among youth, great. Poor involvement of youth, environmental and climate education, legal representation for awaiting trial inmates. That's an interesting one. Okay, so now that's as far as I'm gonna go. But what I'm saying is that everybody had a problem that they wanted to solve. It wasn't just, you didn't just start a nonprofit or a social enterprise out of just, oh, I just want to start one. No, you identified a problem. You identified an issue. And it is through that issue, you were now able to say, okay, how do I then move further into solving that problem? Okay. So that is pretty much what we're looking at. So when you had the problem is what? Is your what? And the strategy is the how are you going to solve that problem? So strategy, so in order for you to even address all the problems that you mentioned here in the comments, you need a how. And the thing is, a strategy is so crucial in building an institution. If you don't have a strategy, you can't even build an institution. You don't even know the resources you need for your organization in order to make things happen. So that is why ACT Foundation is saying, okay, we want people to know the importance of strategy. That is why ACT Foundation has reached out to many, their beneficiary reach goes around the continent. That's why their beneficiary reach has ranged around the country, because they had a strategy. They had a strategy. So as a result of that strategy, they know what to do to now implement the strategy. Okay, so now, how do we connect strategy? Your problem statement is the why. Why are you tackling the issue? The vision statement, the vision and mission is the what. Okay, what do I want to do? Okay, I want to build young, conscientious leaders leading a vibrant economy. I want to build power in communities to solve stubborn problems. So that's your what. Okay, what do you want to do? If somebody comes to my office, I'm like, what? And then if they have a problem, they will tell me why they are there. Do you understand? So the strategy now is your how. Do you understand? It's the how you're going to get things done. So you now have the big picture thinking of, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. These are the resources that I have. These are the people that I'm going to engage. Okay. This is what people are doing in my space. These are my competitors. These are the donors that are funding such an initiative. This is my theory of change. It's now like, okay, this is how, these are the resources I have, and this is the how I'm going to get it done. Okay, so that is what strategy is. Okay, so now we're going to go into vision. We're going to conduct an exercise because vision is very crucial in your strategy, like I said in the previous slides. What is the vision of your organization? Let's take a look. Give me your visions. I'm going to read as fast as I can. What is the vision of your organization? Go on, let's do it. I'm waiting. Let them keyboards start clanking. What is the vision of your organization? Vision. Okay, I see you. Okay, what's your vision? A world devoid of poverty and its consequences. Nice. To save the lives of Ugandan children. Okay. Tackle sexism at work, family, and community level. Okay. Okay. To create eco-conscious generation across Africa, to provide solutions to Africa's water crisis. A world where adolescents is empowered to take leadership and roles in their society. Nikia, that's my student, you rocked it. To provide social network platform for business development services. In Nigeria, where no woman dies from pregnancy-related causes. Nice. Our vision is to be a leading strategy, provide weak relationship with the young. Okay, leverage relationships to create social impact solutions across Africa. Nice. To eradicate young people who are productive in ICT skills, reduce cancer burden, and ensure survival rate, okay? To make our youths, okay. All right. To create the right attitude towards money amongst youth, do the best financial decisions, and to reduce poverty gap. Okay. No Africans die because of lack of oxygen. Okay. Okay. Now, the observation I'm having with the quick read I'm having some people who nailed the vision to a T, and the vision is a statement. Some people are giving me statements. Some people are giving me objectives. Some people are giving me activities. So I'm just looking at provide nutrition empowerment among women and girls, okay? To ensure more people live healthier, longer, and fulfilling lives, okay? All right, okay. So that was really, really good, okay? So with that vision, some of the visions I read, you're gonna need to make those visions shorter, okay? And you're gonna make those visions timeless, and you're gonna make those visions a statement. Do you understand what I'm saying? Make those visions more of a statement than an activity, okay? So a vision is a statement of a timeless destination in 10 words or less. Somebody said a world where there are no women dying of pregnancy-related causes. That is a timeless statement. It's timeless. You would never, there's no end to it. Even if you do a 20-year strategy, you will continue to work towards meeting that vision. Do you understand? A vision is a statement. Do you understand? So I gave two examples. I gave two examples. And I think the first example, it's actually build, not building. So it's here, it says, build power in communities to solve stubborn problems. It's a statement, not building, it's build. Then here is young conscientious leaders leading a vibrant economy. That's Junior Achievement Nigeria's vision. It's a vision statement. It's a statement. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the first one is the organization I worked in Chicago, Target Area Development. It's build power in communities to solve stubborn problems. So whatever community they are in, whether it's in Lagos, Chicago, Southside, or Africa, is to build power in communities to solve stubborn problems. Okay, so that is your vision. So when you look at your vision, ensure that it's in a statement in 10 words or less. Do you understand? So when you are looking at your vision statement, it needs to be timeless. It should have no end in sight. Do you understand? No end in sight. So make sure when you are looking at your vision statement, it adds the juice, it gives you and your board the juice that you need to say, okay, what is the strategy? What's the 3-year strategy? What's the 5-year strategy? What's the 10-year strategy to get closer to meeting that vision, okay? Now, the mission. Does anybody have a mission statement? Anybody have a mission statement? Anybody with a mission statement? Anybody with a mission statement? All right, let's see it, Bukola DBA. Let's see it. To improve childhood to promote a world of lasting peace, support service to humanity. Okay, trying to read as quickly as possible. To enhance message transformation of Nigerian system by creating exceptional values. I like that vision. Bliss. I like that mission statement. To provide health, access to health and capacity development to individuals and lives. That's a good mission statement. Anybody else? To facilitate. Mission is more of an action word, what you are doing to meet the, it's still a macro statement. It's still timeless, but it's more of a doing statement, okay? It's more of a doing statement, okay? Support the people at the bottom of the pyramid, especially people, women with special needs to end cash. It shouldn't be too long, 15 words or less. If it's more than 15 words, it's too long, okay? So just go back to your board and see if you can just tweak it a little bit, not to change it, to just tweak it, make it shorter and make it punchier so that people, you know, you can even talk to all your stakeholders. Your stakeholder can talk about your vision, mission in one hand, okay? Mission, raising awareness and elimination of sexual violence against women and girls in communities, okay? So it's a doing statement, and most of you are getting and hitting the nail on the head with the mission statement. It's more doing statement, and it's 15 words or less, okay? Now, one example of the mission statement that I can say is still the same place I worked in Chicago. It's building power in communities to solve stubborn problems through research, organizing, mobilization, and education for empowerment. So it's saying, yes, where we are building, well, our vision is to build power in communities to solve stubborn problems. But the mission statement is saying, this is how we plan to do it, okay? It's kind of getting closer to the strategy, okay? Beautiful. Some of these are doing statements, could provide more details, okay? Strengthening the healthcare system in Nigeria, how? You need to talk a bit more, maybe about, add another 3 or 4 extra words to let us know how you plan to do that, okay? So that's pretty much going into your mission. Now, in order to come up with a strategy or a theory of change, which is very critical in strategy and implementation, you need to be able to you need to know what your problem is. And earlier in our conversation, we talked about what is the problem, right? You know, what problem do you plan to solve? So a problem tree, it's an exercise that I advise you do. If you haven't done it, you can do it at the start of another strategic planning session with your organization. So if you are saying, okay, we're done implementing our 3 or 5 year strategy, in order to now go on to implement another strategy, let us have a small focus group with stakeholders like beneficiaries, board members, maybe one staff member, to talk about what the problem is. It provides you an overview of all the known causes and effects to an identified problem. Okay, so if they're saying, okay, there's an increased percentage of victims of sexual and gender-based violence, right? Why? Is it because of because they don't have the resources to be able to get out? Why is that? You get what I'm saying? They don't have the education. Why? Do you understand? You keep asking why until you get to the root cause of the problem. You can say, okay, there's LGBT in a certain community. You may even want to just address a certain state. You get what I'm saying? Or a certain community. And then you get to the root cause of that problem, okay? It's important in planning a community engagement or behavioral change or attitudinal change project, as it establishes the context in which the project is to occur, okay? So you can say, and the thing about it is, a mistake organizations make is they don't make their project as a part of their strategy. They just do standalone projects. Okay, let me apply to ACT Foundation for funding. You know, and one thing I like about ACT Foundation is that, are we co-funding this with somebody else? You know, how do we come in? Because this ensures that your program is not just a standalone because you're looking for funding. It's part of the organizational strategy, okay? So if you're going to work on a project, you have to, that's why you create your theory of change. You get what I'm saying? And it's from that theory of change, you're not able to come up with programs and projects. So this problem, a problem and tree analysis, a problem analysis, it establishes the context in which a project is to happen. You understand? So that even if as an organization you want to engage your staff to manage a program, they will now understand why the heck they're doing what they're doing, because they knew what the problem is, because the organization was able to do its homework. They're not like, okay, just manage this project. No, they need to know why. Why did you start okay, let's say an organization is Makoko. Why are you in Makoko? What did you identify as a problem there amongst many other problems? Why is it that your organization is best fit to solve this problem other than the 10 or 15 other organizations that are providing interventions there? Okay. So understanding the context helps to reveal the complexity of life. And this is essential in planning a successful change project, not just a project, but a change project. Okay. So here is theory of change. Before I start talking about theory of change, let me see if I can share my tab with you of one of the videos I did on theory of change. Just a second. Let me see, just a second. Let me see how I can share this, okay? All right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, just a second. Just a second. Is this it? Just a second. All right. Can you see the can you see the video? Can you see the video?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm just gonna play this for you, and then at the end of it, we'll talk some more, okay?
Hello, my name is Efua Elens-Edeh with Social Impact Consulting. We're a development consultancy firm looking to maximize social impact. Today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting topic, but I'll talk about it relatively briefly because I'm going to do an online course concerning this very topic. It's called Theory of Change. This is a methodology used by the third sector, which is philanthropy, unilateral, bilateral agencies, nonprofits, to pretty much try to bring forth a long-term outcome or impact, and then work its way backwards to the activities going on in the present. So, for example, if an organization wants to increase,
sorry about that, just a second,
the number of female entrepreneurs in Ondo State by 25% in the next 5 years. So how does that work? You would now go backwards in that period. How many is 25%? Let's give an example. There are 7 million women or 10 million women. So 25% of that is 2.5 million, right? So it's like, okay, how are we going to reach out to 2.5 million entrepreneurs within the next 5 years? And then you work your way backwards, okay? So you now go, okay, if we are having this long-term outcome, we're going to assume that we're going to have an enabling political environment to make that happen. We're going to have a he for she governor that would work diligently with us to churn out those number of entrepreneurs. Another assumption could be that the social environment, that we need to sensitize men to see how they can empower their wives and their mothers to become more independent. So these are things to look at with regards to the theory of change, okay? So by the time you now look backwards, you're like, okay, so the outcome could be we've reached out to 2 million women, And we are hoping, based on assumptions, that these women will now train an extra 500,000 women, which will now make it 2.5 million, which is the 25% benchmark that you're looking at. You see how technical it is? That's why I'm going to actually conduct an online course concerning theory of change. When you now go into outputs, you now say, okay, we want to reach out to 500,000 women a year so that we can reach to between 2 and 2.5 million women, okay? So then you now say, okay, what are the activities? What do I need to do? How do I need to sensitize these people, okay? So I'll need the media, TV, radio, print, social media. I need partnerships with skill acquisition programs. I need to partner with the Ministry of Women Affairs in that very state, and then the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development to make sure that I have the buy-in of the key influencers in terms of gender mainstreaming, okay? So you now do a stakeholder analysis and say, okay, who do I need to partner with, and then conduct activities to engage these people. So also developing programs and entrepreneurship programs for these women to now push and churn out these entrepreneurs. Who are the microfinance banks that I would need to partner with in order to give them seed capital? Can I identify other donors that will provide grants to these women to make sure that they have what they need to become entrepreneurs? So these are activities that you're looking at in terms of, okay, get on all the TV stations with regards to gender mainstreaming to recruit more women to apply to our program, okay? Then partner with the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. So these are some of the activities that you have to engage in to churn out these female entrepreneurs. Then in terms of the activities, conduct the program. How long is the program? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? Depending on the interest that these women are showing with regards to what they want to do as an entrepreneur. Then, and these critical assumptions, and in each of the portions, which is outcomes, output, activities, and input, there are assumptions. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to be able to conduct these press releases, and I'm going to be able to visit the media. And the assumption is, okay, as long as it's not a government-controlled media, that I'm free to talk about the current state of entrepreneurship with women in Ondo State. So then going into the partnership with the Ministry of Women Affairs. Okay, are they going to partner with me? Do they believe that I'm doing what's best for the women of the state? So these are assumptions that you also have to look at. Then you have your inputs. Do you have the money? Do you have the human resources? Do you have the donor partner that will partner with you, that will give you the money to make this happen? Have you done your stakeholder analysis? Have you gotten the partnerships and the stakeholder support that you need? So these are the inputs. Have you designed the program? Have you done a risk analysis to make sure that everything will go where it needs to go? So with theory of change, what I've just talked about now is I've worked my way backwards. Long-term outcomes / impact, outputs, activities, and inputs. And each of these categories have their own separate key assumptions. That's why a theory of change model can either be simple or complex. So that's pretty much all I'm going to be talking to you today about theory of change. If you have any further questions about that, if you need to develop a theory of change for your organization, your project, you can give me a shout at elens@socialimpactng.com, and I'll
Okay, so thank you so much for watching that. Another thing, because theory of change is so vast, another thing I didn't mention in that video is indicators. Because in order for you to even track your outcomes, because you have outcome indicators. Your outcome indicators could be, number of percentage of women reached in, let's say it was a 2015 to 2020 project, percentage of women met entrepreneurs in 2015. So if it's 25%, they're like, okay, but if it's 20%, you may now want to now increase your benchmark in the next year in order to reach your output. So when you now get to your output, you know, you're now going to say, okay, what are the activity indicators that would meet the outputs that you would need to get done, and looking at your outcome. So you're looking at not just critical assumptions like I mentioned in the video, you're also having measuring units called your indicators, your activity indicators and your outcome indicators. Okay, so your indicators are your unit measurements. You're going to decide that indicator as you are coming up with your baseline assessment. You do your theory of change, you now conduct a baseline assessment. How is the state now with regards to the number of entrepreneurs? And that is going to be the premise between your background piece when you're writing your proposals to donors, whether it be individual or institutional donors, okay? So that's what you're doing with regards to your theory of change. Another way they used to describe it in when I was in Chicago conducting organizing is, what is the world as it is? And then what is the world as it should be? With regards to gender-based violence, what is the world as it is? And what is the world as it should be? For example, with regards to dealing with out-of-school youth, the world as it is that there are over 10 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. Nigeria has the highest percentage of out-of-school youth in the world, which surpasses India and China. Okay, so that is the world as it is. What do you want the world as it should be to be within your organization? Do you understand what I'm saying? So the world as it should be is your long-term outcomes, okay? And your long-term outcomes is what will be part of your strategic plan. And then you now say, okay, what are my outcomes? And you can now break the outcomes with regards to projects that you decide to do, you understand, or programs that you decide to do, and know what your donors are going to fund, right? So you now have your outcomes, and then you have your outputs, you have your activities and your inputs, and you have your indicators. And your indicators is what is going to be used to measure while you're monitoring the project internally, or while you're evaluating the project, bringing in an external consultant. Because when I'm hired to go into an organization to evaluate a project, I'll look at the baseline, I'll look at all the supporting documents, I'll look at the program management plan, I'll look at all the indicators. How has the organization been able to meet its objectives, meet the outcomes of this very project? And that is what I'll be reporting to my client. So that is what happens when you're monitoring internally. You have an M&E person within your organization. And then you have then you do evaluation. You have to hire an external consultant, somebody that's completely independent, that knows nothing about your project, so that they can now give you an objective lens on how your project is doing. Okay, so that's theory of change in a short nutshell, in as short as I can within the time slot I have. I'll give room for some questions and answers. Okay, so like I said before, when you now come up with the bridge between your long-term outcomes and your activities, is what you call the outcomes, results, or logical framework, depending on the donor, depending on what your organization decides to use. If you're using a log frame, if you're using a results framework or outcomes framework, that is what you use to measure how your organization is doing. Okay, so that is pretty much theory of change in a nutshell. Okay, I'm going to be talking now in the video. I talked about stakeholder engagement. Extremely important in developing strategy. Okay, they are groups of people and institutions that your organization will need to engage with to ensure the fulfillment of its vision and mission. You cannot do this alone. You cannot work in silos. And I think the development sector, the paradigm is changing. People are looking for partnerships. People are looking to engage with oil organizations to expand the impact of your work. Okay, People are looking to do that. They're no longer saying, okay, I'll do my thing my way in this community. No, okay? So you need to engage with stakeholders, with groups of people and institutions that your organization needs to ensure the fulfillment of its vision and mission, okay? Each stakeholder will require a strategy, a management plan within your strategy to ensure engagement. Let me give you an example. The Lagos Food Bank Initiative has a database of well over 15,000 volunteers. So they have a volunteer engagement strategy. When I went to talk to the executive director, I told him, I said, you have so much data. You need to conduct research. He said, cool. I will go into my pool of volunteers to find out who specializes in research. So he has so much resources within his volunteer base that that if they give him 100 naira, 100 naira will do 10,000 naira worth of work. And that is what is attractive to do. So each stakeholder is vital to the moving of your organization forward. So let me give you a couple of examples, and I'm going to go into each of them in a bit of detail, into this slide in a bit of detail, and I'll probably have to rush through the rest because this, in order for you to become an influential organization, you have to master stakeholder management, okay? You have to master it. Stakeholders include your board. If you do not have an active, listen to me, active board of directors, you're wasting your time, especially if you're a founder. If you're a founder, you will just be working like a hamster on the wheel. You just keep going and going and going. You will just wear yourself out. So you need board engagement. You need board members that are extremely passionate about your cause. If you are doing environment, you need board members that are passionate about the environment. They may not be environmentalists, but they are passionate about the environment. They may not be women, but they are passionate about gender-based violence or gender equality. So you need to have, this is what I say, and please, I appeal to you, subscribe to my channel, okay? I'm not asking you to buy anything. Subscribe to my channel. I have so many goodies compared to board. In fact, I even have one video that talks extensively about board governance. So you have to manage your board. Ensure that your CAC documentation is up to date. You do your annual filings, the updated KAMA law. Take a look at it. If you have a legal officer within your team or a member of your team that's a lawyer, make sure you give them a role in compliance because NGOs are heavily regulated. So you need to make sure that you are compliant. So your board, make sure that everything is up to date. CAC documentation is on point. You have your organizational constitution. You have your board committees. I'm going to leave it there because I can talk about board engagement, in fact, for the rest of our allotted time. But make sure you have an active governing board. Make sure that you and your chairman, if you are the one running your organization, are in sync. Otherwise, it's dead on arrival. They may even fire you, and you're the one that started the organization. Do you understand? So make sure that you have an active and strong governing board. Your team, I said staff here, but your team is very vital, okay? Make sure that you have a team that is in line with your vision and mission. Make sure you understand the self-interest of each of your team members to see if aligning with your organization is within their career goal, or is within their goal of giving back to the community, or is within their goal of getting more experience so that they can go to Harvard Business School. Whatever their interests are, make sure it's in alignment so that you are able to get the best out of them, because nobody is going to be more passionate about your organization than you are. So don't expect them to, but make sure you are able to align their passions to pushing through your vision and mission. Make sure you have all the policies in places for checks and balances. Make sure you have your personnel policies. Make sure you have your financial policies. Make sure that you have all the if they are working full time, make sure that they have their insurance. Make sure they have their allowances. Make sure that You may not be able to pay them what the banks and the oil companies are paying them, but make sure that they are justly compensated. If you don't have the money, you can start with having volunteers work with you, okay? Then your volunteers. You know, quite a few organizations have gotten this volunteer culture to a science, okay? People like the Lagos Food Bank Initiative, Slum to School Africa, Junior Achievement has it to a certain extent with professionals and corporations. Make sure that you have a volunteer engagement strategy. Do you have meetings with them? Do you have groups? Do you have activities? Do you keep them do you keep your organization in their faces so that they can align with you and they feel a sense of ownership in what they are doing? Okay? Because if is it Lagos? Is it Kano? Is it people are busy? So you want to make sure that when they are working with your organization, they feel fulfilled and they are inspired and they feel like they make a meaningful contribution to society. Okay? Donors are important, okay? But one thing you want to do as an organization, because there's donor fatigue. So make sure you have a culture of sustainability within your organization. You're not just saying, okay, I'm just going to be an organization that survives on a project-to-project basis. Do you have a way of engaging high net worth individuals? Do you have a way of engaging with regular volunteers? Like, for example, in a charity school like North School, if I give them 10,000 naira, it will go a long way. If I give an organization like the Lagos Food Bank Initiative 10,000 naira, it will go a long way. One thing, if you listen to my dev sector series with Michael Sumbola, it's a bit clunky because the network was poor on both our ends. But if you listen to it, you will get immense value for that conversation, because he said that if nobody gives him money for 2 years, he will still be able to feed the hungry. So you need to create a structure within your organization where people are giving to your cause. If I know organizations like Leap Africa, they had, I don't know about now because I just moved back to Lagos, but they used to have these annual events where they will be able to raise money within their organization. And because of the sustainability model they have, you know, donors are flocking to them like flies, because donors don't want to give an organization money that if the organization does not, the donor does not sustain that organization, it will be dead on arrival. Donors don't want that. And ACT Foundation is not excluded in that list. They want to be able to, okay, I'm funding this health foundation initiative in DRC. I know that the money that the social impact dollars that I've invested in that organization will go further than the money that I've given them. That's what every investor wants to. Donors are investors, and they want and the return on investment for them is social impact. Okay, so make sure you're structuring your organization. That's why your strategic plan is so vital, because you're saying, this is my vision, this is my mission, these are my objectives, this is how I'm going to fulfill my objective. Okay, and this is how much it's going to cost. So now that I know how much it's going to cost, this is how I'm going to raise the money. That's what a strategic plan does. So everything is tied together, okay? So that's your donors. That's a whole, if you follow my YouTube channel, I have numerous videos on donor engagement. I have videos on networking. These are things that I believe will add value to your organization. Now, government agencies. It is so vital. An example of an organization that has a lock-arm relationship with INEC is Yaga Africa Initiative, Clark's Civil Society Situation Room. Do you understand? Center for Democracy Development. They have a close relationship with INEC. Do you understand what I'm saying? And because they have a close relationship with INEC, they have the ear of INEC. That is why slowly but surely we're having electoral reforms. Now, if you are an organization that just does programmatic interventions, you just do activities, it's not a just, but let's say you provide legal services for women that are victims of sexual and gender-based violence. That data that you are collecting is a tool for advocacy. So you are a part of an advocacy value chain that you don't know of. Okay, so make sure that when you do a situational analysis of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, you can hand it over to the Ministry of Women Affairs. And guess what? You can foster a partnership with them. You can send the reports to the National Human Rights Commission, and then you have a partnership with them. That is how organizations become influential. So build partnerships with your assigned agencies. If you're doing stuff on the environment, talk to the Ministry of Environment in the state that you're working in, the Federal Ministry of Environment on the federal level and on the local level. Make sure that your name is on the forefront. So anytime they're having any activities, anytime they want to call experts, they will call you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is what you want to do. You want to, another stakeholder I didn't talk about here is the media. That is such a key set of stakeholders. You're going to be issuing out press releases on what you're doing, because if you send a proposal to an organization like Act Foundation now, they will just go on Google to check you out. So they want to see your credibility. They want to see your press clippings. They want to see your news features. They want to see those. Okay, this organization is a credible organization. So as an impact investor, I'm just part of it. So that is the media. Okay, your beneficiaries is a no-brainer. If you're dealing with sexual and gender-based violence, if you're an advocacy organization, you're looking at regional impact, you're looking at national impact. If you're a programmatic and a humanitarian organization, you're looking at your numbers. I want to impact 1,000 women within the next 6 months that are affected by sexual and gender-based violence. Okay, so you now have to go to where the beneficiaries are. If it's shelters, if it's the Ministry of Education, of Women Affairs in Lagos, or whatever state or whatever country you are in, you need to be actively engaging with these stakeholders, with these beneficiaries, okay? Or you can even partner with other organizations that have those beneficiaries. Maybe some organization, let's say you provide legal support, and some other organization provides psychosocial support. That other organization doesn't provide legal support. So guess what? You partner with them so that you provide that legal support to their so if it's 1,000 beneficiaries, man, you've gotten all those beneficiaries for yourself. So these are ways, these are things within a strategy that you use to further engage. Vendors, you get what I'm saying? You have a procurement policy in your organization. You have a procurement policy and financial policies. Look, organizations like USAID, EU, FCDU, those organizations are looking to fund directly to local nonprofits. So if you have your policies in place and you have the structures in place, and that can only happen if you have a good strategic plan. And the person and the group of people that will be monitoring you bumper to bumper on your strategic plan is your board. Okay? So we're going to go into strategic planning, the outline of a strategic plan, and then we'll now talk about implementation plan and monitoring and evaluation. Okay, before we now end. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know I'm on a roll because it's just a lot of information within this period of time. I hope. Okay, so looks like you guys are. So are you guys enjoying this? I just need some feedback. I hope this is adding some value to you, because I know I'm just on a roll because
I'm enjoying it, Ma.
Okay, thank you so much. So we've talked about the importance of strategy. Now we're going to talk about strategic planning, okay? Strategic planning, like we've already started some of the exercises, your vision, your mission, your theory of change, and stakeholder management. So we're going to talk about the strategic plan. Some organizations will not talk to you without a strategic plan. I was evaluating a USAID scale SIS project, which was a few years ago, I think back in 2019. We went to many states across the country. When we are going to do an organizational capacity assessment, we don't even start with anything else until we know you have a strategic plan. What's your strategic plan? You give it to us, we glance through it. So if you don't have one, go and talk to your board, schedule a board meeting, talk to your chairman, schedule a board meeting very quickly and come up with one. You don't have to, you can even find out which member of your board is a consultant or has a consulting firm that they can volunteer their time to be part of their CSR. If funding is an issue for you, because consultants, depending on the quality you're looking for, will charge you for doing consulting. Or you can even approach the big five. You can approach the KPMGs, the PwC and say, hey, can you help us as part of your CSR? There are various ways that you can do it, but if you want something quick, you can get a consultant, hire one, they take you through a retreat, they develop the document, and you're good to go. Okay, but you need to have that document as soon as you possibly can. Okay, so and one thing about strategic plan, it will help your board to, it will help with corporate governance. I have a short webinar where I talk about corporate governance, the thing that dictates corporate governance, because a busy person, let's say you have the MD of Shell or the MD of Access Bank, or even Osai herself, like, oh, you want her to chair your board. She not coming to no meeting if she does not have anything to monitor. She's like, okay, we're in Q4 of year 1 of the strategic plan. Where are we? That's what they want to know. That's what they want to know, is that your strategic plan that they will be working with. Okay? So let's move forward. Next slide. Okay. So now I'm just going to talk about one thing about a strategic plan. There is a conundrum that happens with regards to strategic plans. A lot of corporations hire these consultants to develop this 100, 200-page strategic plan, and it ends up gathering dust. Even we nonprofits, you see that the strategic plan, it to be so extensive, this, that, and only a fraction of the stuff gets implemented. So you want something that is short, that is succinct, and that is doable, and that is trackable, so that you know that, okay, this is where I am, and this is how far I need to go. So now we talked about, so I'm going to start. So we talked about the background. You're highlighting the problem that your organization is solving on a macro level. You have all the data, there are various data resources, the National Bureau of Statistics, World Bank, WHO, UNICEF. You get what I'm saying? You have all these, even African Union, ECOWAS. There's so many resources you can go to do your research on how, in your thematic area, what is happening. Okay, you do a situational analysis. That's pretty much what your background is. It needs to, and the stats have to be credible. And they don't start getting sources from like 20 years ago, unless you're comparing it to a recent stat. So if the Nigeria has the highest percentage of HIV/AIDS 20 years ago, and it's the same in 2021, because it's same in 2021, that's something you can compare. But not that you come up with stats from 20 years ago and use that as a basis for your interventions. It doesn't work that way, okay? Then you say, okay, I've done a background, I've done a problem analysis now, and I've done problem tree analysis. Now, what's my vision? We talked about it before, a timeless statement of 10 words or less. It needs to be a statement. Don't tell me what you are doing. What is your statement? Okay, that's what it is. A mission, it's also a timeless statement. It talks about the how You get what I'm saying? But it's still macro to fulfill the vision. It's 15 words or less. Your objectives, 3 to 5 sentences on the how you're going to fulfill your vision. If it's to, educate wed mothers on nutritional supplements for your children. If it's to go to primary, is to work to advocate for more primary healthcare centers in all over 700 local governments. You can now say, okay, these are my objectives. Then your SWOT analysis. It gives you your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That one, it takes like a retreat, maybe like a day retreat to do. You get what I'm saying? What are the strengths of your organization? What are its weaknesses? What are the opportunities out there for you to venture into? And what are the threats to the success of your organization? So you conduct that SWOT analysis. I did a SWOT analysis for an international NGO about a month ago, and it was quite extensive. And with that SWOT analysis, they didn't even know how powerful they were. And they had a small staff strength of like 6 people, but they were comparable to some of the top INGOs in Abuja. So your SWOT analysis will now tell you, this is where I am. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's your SWOT analysis. Then with your SWOT analysis, you're now able to, through all that information, you come up with your theory of change. You can come up with a theory of change statement to say, if women are given the awareness of the effects of gender-based violence on their mental health, then they will leave toxic relationships early, which will result in the reduction of gender-based violence in Africa. So that is a theory of change. Do you understand? It's like an if-then statement. Do you understand? So you, as even right now, as an organization, think of that statement and make sure it's an if-then statement. It could be an if-then statement, but start with an if-then statement, okay? If my organization is able to do this, then this would happen, okay? And it's through that you now come up with your results framework. We talked about that in the video that I just shared with you. You work backwards, your outcomes, outputs, activities, inputs. Within those layers, you come up with your critical assumptions, and then you also come up with your indicators. Your indicators is what will be measured within your organization, and it is what will be tracked holistically during an evaluation, okay? Sometimes you say monitoring and evaluation officer. No, the person internally is monitoring the progress of the project. An evaluator is hired by the organization or by the donor to now see how the project is doing on a macro level, okay? Then from there, you're looking at your results framework. Okay, this is what this is where we are, the dismal situation. These are the things we're going to do to create a positive outcome. Then you're now looking at the stakeholder engagement plan, like who are the people I'm going to need? What are the institutions that I'll need to partner with to make sure that this project is a success, okay? So for starters, this is how I'm going to do my work and this is how much it's going to cost. Conduct and work on a fundraising plan, okay? And then start with talking to donors. Some donors, most donors, when they engage with you, especially those of them that don't do an open call, they'll say, here's our strategic plan. How do you feel our relationship would work? You get what I'm saying? It's like a marriage relationship. It's like a close relationship with somebody. Do we have common values? Do we have common norms? Can we coexist together? You get what I'm saying? So that's how the stakeholder engagement plan starts, okay? Then what you really need to do now is an implementation plan, okay? How are you going to implement this strategic plan? Make this as simple as possible, or else your document will gather dust. Do you understand? Because once you look at it as an executive director, you're looking at this implementation plan, you're thinking about dealing with the day-to-day stuff with your staff. You're dealing with board engagement. If you have 4 meetings, if you're an organization like JA Nigeria that has to do 4 board meetings a year, you're dealing with board engagement. You're dealing with donor engagement. You're dealing with volunteers. You're dealing with institutions. When you look at the plan, like, I beg, let me finish today. I'll look at this later. So you want your implementation plan to be as simple as possible, or else your document will gather dust. Now, how I've been able to divide implementation is divided into 3 categories. 1, corporate governance. 2, programs. 3, administration. Okay? So with corporate governance, like I talked to you before, make sure you have regular board meetings. Make sure you have the minutes. Make sure you have an executive committee. You have a finance committee. Okay? You have a programs committee, because they will monitor the progress of your programs strategically. The board may even be the one to hire the evaluator and say, look, you come, evaluate what they are doing and report to us. That's another way they can monitor how you're doing, okay? So that's corporate governance. Then programs. Within your strategic plan we talked about before, you've come up with your theory of change. You've come up with your results framework. You've come up with it. So what I strongly advise organizations to do is to make sure that if you're applying to ACT Foundation, to Ford Foundation, to Open Society, to FCDO, make sure that what the project or program you want them to fund is part of your results framework. So whatever results you get from the money ACT Foundation gives you, you can feed it into your outputs and outcome. Okay, this is what we've done. Do you understand? It shouldn't just be a standalone, we're just doing this so that this people can give us one. No. Unless you are doing fee for service. Excuse me. Excuse me. Unless you're doing fee for service, okay? So that is what you want to do. You get what I'm saying? Then administration. How are you going to execute this project? What is your staff strength? Do you understand? How much money has been brought into your organization? What has been budgeted for the year? How is it being tracked? Do you understand? So how is human resources going? You get what I'm saying? By managing your team and making sure everything is in line with the policies that your board has approved, though. Do you understand? So there are checks and balances, because I noticed that most, like someone like my husband now, if you tell him, like when he's, looking for an opportunity to engage in as an executive, he's like, I'm not looking for a one-man business. When you build an institution like this, it's not a one-man show. Do you understand? You have a board that you're accountable to. Do you understand? So make sure that you're able to build that in. And when you have that institution like that, even if it's just one small office, but you have an institution with systems, donors are more comfortable. Volunteers will be more comfortable. They'll feel like they are donating to something bigger than themselves. Individual donors will feel happy to give money to you, okay? So make sure you have a good administrative team, okay? You have a grants manager, a developmental manager that is helping you write your grants, that is helping you track the funds, and then you as the executive director. I have another video. You can watch it later. The 4 key roles of an executive director. I think it's 4 or 5. Check it out, okay? It's really good. It talks about the role of an executive director. Being the chief operating officer, the chief executive officer, the chief program officer. So various significant roles an executive director needs to do. So you will be having the strategic oversight of administration and oversight of programs. Because to be honest with you, most times you are the one that engaged with the donor. You are the one that spoke to the donor. And most times, if you did not write the proposal, you oversaw the writing of the proposal. So the buck stops with you. When a donor sees that their money is not being put to good use, they are not going to be looking at the program officer you are assigned to do your work. They'll be looking at you. So it's to have these structures in place. And when the board sees that things are not done right, they are looking at you crazy. You know, they are looking at the executive director. So with corporate governance, there's a strategy for compliance. Look, CSOs, NGOs are heavily regulated. In fact, I was part of a committee that went with EFCT to conduct a risk assessment of a risk assessment exercise for NGOs across the country. And you'll be surprised how heavily regulated NGOs are. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to make sure that the fundamentals, CAC registration, bylaws and constitution, make sure you have your annual corporate filings, your annual filings with CAC, and your annual filings have your annual audited financial reports. Make sure you have that, okay? So these are things that you need to put together as you are implementing your strategy, okay? Then I've talked about programs and how you need to come up with your theory of change, your logical results framework, and your program management plan. Your program management plan, within your activities, you're going to now look at what are your, it's kind of like a program / stakeholder management plan, so to speak, because you need to know what am I going to need to make sure I have a successful activity. And stakeholders are a key role, okay? Administration. You have your human resources, finance, marketing, you know, how you marketing and making sure that there's more awareness about your organization. Technology, making sure that all your social media handles are well and good, you don't get hacked. Make sure that your servers and different things are secure. Sales, business development, fundraising, that should be part of it. And that entails you as an executive director, your team, and your board, okay? Now, evaluation, okay? Evaluation, so your results framework is derived from your theory of change, like I said earlier. The tools that need to be monitored within the program and evaluated midway and at the end of the project are known as indicators, okay? Number of women that were reached, okay? Number of women that attended community town hall. You get what I'm saying? The number of key opinion leaders that have been sensitized and are converted to our way of thinking. So you have, these are numerical units that you need. These are activity indicators, okay? So you now need to make sure that these indicators, make sure you don't have too many, okay? Have like 4 or 5 indicators so that you can track that during the duration of your project. That's another course alone, M&E, and I'm sure the Act Foundation team, they have been providing training on M&E. So each program objective had indicators measured over time. It is vital to create the results framework to ensure program success. Okay. So I'm going to now summarize and I'm going to conclude, and then we'll have a few minutes for questions and answers. So summary, strategy is important because it's important for an organization to understand how to fulfill its vision and mission. The organization strategy is the how, and the vision and the mission is the why. The problem tree is the what, okay? Theory of change is the missing middle that links the outcomes and the activities and resources needed to ensure program success. Is that missing middle? That is theory of change. The world as it is, the world as it should be. The middle part of it is where your programmatic intervention pathway begins and ends, okay? Managing stakeholders is vital when designing and implementing programs. The strategy is required to engage each of them differently. That was why I kind of broke it down. This is how you engage this one. This is how you engage that one. Implementation plan is vital, but should be simple. Otherwise, your strategic plan will gather dust. The only time you bring it out is when a donor wants to come and do organizational assessment. What's your strategic plan? Big. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not where you want to be. Based on theory of change and results outcome or logical framework, whichever ones you prefer to use, indicators will be monitored during program implementation, and evaluation will be done midway or at the end of the project, okay? In conclusion, building a strategy for your organization is vital in creating an institution that maximizes. Once you are building a strategy, listen, you are building your institution. You just have to be consistent, and make sure you don't have founder syndrome. Most of us Nigerians have founder syndrome. Everything must begin and end with me. Haba. Don't you want to do something else? Like when I look at people like Mrs. Ndidi Unele with Leap Africa. She started Leap Africa and moved on to do other things. She's still very engaged with Leap Africa, but she's on to other things. And now look at how far she has gone. Do you understand what I'm saying? You want to make sure that everything does not start and end with you, because you will stifle the organization's success. So build an institution, and you yourself become an institution. Ndidi is an institution. Do you understand? People like Sam Sinitodo that are up and coming, because Ndidi Leap has crossed the 20-year mark. Do you understand? So she is an institution. So Sam Sinitodo is headed towards that trajectory, and many other organizations are headed towards that trajectory of being an institution within itself. So a strategy is important for sustainability. If you don't come up with a strategy, man, you're just going to be, let me give you an example, and I think I've given it in several of my speeches. I went to do conduct an assessment of an organization in Enugu State. Then the founder had gone to Geneva, had gotten an appointment in Geneva. Then the organization seemed dead. Do you understand? There was a building, but it didn't seem like they had things running efficiently, because everything started and ended with the founder. Do you understand? You don't want that. You want a strong governing board. You want a board that is in alignment to what your vision and mission is. You want to have a strong team, and you want to have a strong relationship with your stakeholders. And then you want to have a succession plan. You don't want a situation where if anything happens to you, look, all of us are frail and mortal. This founder I talked to eventually died. So you don't want to start something that you want to change the world and it ends. Do you know how finite we are? You want an organization that outlives you. So that is my appeal to each and every one of you that is a founder and executive director. Make sure you build an institution that outlasts you, that outlives you. That's what you want to do, okay? So after identifying a problem, creating a vision and mission, and the vision and mission statement is timeless. So why are you, all of us, okay, if God gives me, I'm 41 years old now, so if God gives me the grace, I may live another 30 or 40 years. Your vision is timeless. Why will I want to restrict my organization to 30 years if I decide to stay that length of time, okay? So identify the resources you have within your board and volunteers. Select a facilitator to help you, to aid you, to develop this strategic plan, or hire an external consultant. And last but not the least, all these things I've said, Rome can be built in a day. Rome is not built in a day, but it's built at last. So be patient, create your strategic plan, and go out there and change the world. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you so much. So if you have any questions, you could either put it in the chat or raise your hand and then you'll be asked to speak.
Let me stop sharing because I'm looking at the chats now so that I can look at the questions.
Okay, so we have 2 hands up. Would you like to take those? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have about 3 hands up. Would you like to start with those? Okay. Clement, if you'd like to start.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
William, thank you for your wonderful training. I think your training has really improved my mind. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I just want to ask this question. It's a little bit confusing. I've heard of, can you just differentiate between theory of change and result accountability framework? I'm not used to result accountability framework, but I'm used to theory of change and logic frame. So I believe with experience, you understand what I'm saying about result accountability framework. Are they the same thing or is there a difference? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that question. So a theory of change is a different type of framework and theory of change ties into results framework, okay? But it's the logical framework that you just go straight to, okay, what are your objectives? Do you understand what I'm saying? What are your objectives? I mean, your outcomes, you have your objectives, you have your outcomes, and then you now work your way backwards. You get what I'm saying? And both have indicators as well. You get what I'm saying? They both have indicators. Log frame doesn't really have that if-then piece of it. You get what I'm saying? But you just have that formal framework of, okay, let me just fill in the blanks. You get what I'm saying? Theory of change is a bit more vast. It's something that it would take more of a group think to come up with. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of the extent that I can go with theory of change and log. Like, for example, now with when you have like a short term, like a short project, you can say, okay, let me come up with a log frame. You get what I'm saying? Because you're writing a proposal, these are the objectives in line with the organizational strategic objectives, and these are the outcomes, and then work your way through to activities. You get what I'm saying? And you can quickly turn, the theory of change is a bit more vast. Do you get what I'm saying? And holistic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ijoma, do you want to go?
Thank you so much, Ma, for the training. I am so grateful. It was so insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's really been bothering me. I'm very grateful I had to join the call, even though I was late. I'm so sorry for that. Please, is it possible for one to start some of these implementations, if not all, if you do not have a registered NGO?
Okay. Ijoma.
Yes, ma'am.
My recommendation is start the registration process as soon as possible. Do you understand? Start the process, but you can invite a group of people to become your board. You get what I'm saying? Invite people to become your board. Let them be your CAC documentation. Do you understand? And then send the application, because right now the backlog in CAC is crazy. You get what I'm saying? But it shouldn't stop you. Do you understand? So just make sure you come up with your vision, you come up with your mission, and then you can now start working on your strategic plan. So by the time your CAC documentation has been processed, you are moving. Do you understand? So don't just start with you alone. Start with yourself and others, okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Mom.
Okay. Egbe.
Hello. Okay. Good day, everyone, and thank you, Madam Efua, for the presentation. Really good. I have two questions. Firstly, is the fact that I am a Cameroonian, and I have
nice to have you.
have an organization under registration and with some missions, which your knowledge today has helped me and is making me to revisit my vision because it was actually too long. So thanks for the knowledge once more. So I wish to know if organizations from Cameroon can also apply for fundings under ACT. That's the first question. And then secondly is actually a worry from the field. When I talk of the field, I mean in the field of development, humanity, everything and everything. I think that we all are part of the solution, and most of us as upcoming organizations, we have almost the same vision. We have almost the same mission, but in the context of Africa, we are not willing to work with each other. We are not willing to partner. Rather, we see it from a perspective of competition. And before starting my own registration, I actually wanted to work with people who have shared vision with me, but I noticed that I was more of a threat to them. The more I approached them, the more they distant me. So I was like, will my vision die? Will my mission just go away? Or I could start something. And so I took the bull by the hand. But actually, I wanted to work as a team. So can you say any word on this so that, because I don't want to be in competition with them, knowing that to an extent, having knowledge from people like you, I have an upper hand of having a better strategy and I can be seen like a threat to them, whereas we have the same goal of humanity and everything. So I don't know if you have a word for me here. Those are my questions. Thank you.
No, the first question you asked, I think ACT Foundation will be in a better position to answer that with regards to the range of their funding, but so they should be able to help you with that answer. But where I do come in is that with regards to the competition out there, you get what I'm saying? What would help you is your strategic plan. Do you understand? If you have a strategic plan, then you're able to do a SWOT and a competitive analysis. And then you now identify organizations that you can collaborate with on projects. So instead of trying to compete with them, you can collaborate with them. Do you understand? So that there's a collective win. You understand? Because a lot of times, it's what you're saying is not uncommon to Cameroon or to Nigeria. It's everywhere. Even in Chicago, you had organizations competing and scrapping for the limited funds. So that is not, so the way to handle that challenge is to, by the time you develop your strategic plan, you now know who to partner with, what advocacy issue. If you're an advocacy organization, you can come up with a coalition with all those organizations and be a convener. Do you understand? And then start an advocacy campaign, because the advocacy campaign can last for years. But if there's that win or wins across the way, it enhances your influence. If you're a programmatic organization, see if you can apply for funding and maybe come up with a consortium and apply for large-scale funding. Then you can work together on areas of the organization. But if you're not that vast in terms of your background, just work with your board, develop your strategic plan, and then take it from there.
That was helpful. Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to mention that ACT Foundation does support programs that are that are in Cameroon, but there are other criteria that we'll also look at. So please visit our website. I'll leave a link in the chat that you can get more information on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So I saw a comment here about trustees.
Yes,
what I have said, I saw a chat here, sorry, on how about trustees that are not active? Dump them. But don't dump them like that too. go to them individually and just thank them for their service, appreciate them for their passion, because people have different reasons why they engage or disengage from an organization. So if they contributed at some point in time, thank them, appreciate them and everything, and then let them know that, you know, so that letting them go will not be, nobody's fighting, you understand? So you talk to them, you disengage with them. That's why it's important to have your annual filing, and that's why it's important to have your bylaws, because your constitution and your bylaws will let you know the duration of a board member. Maybe I can sit on your board for 3 years, you know, subject to renewal. If you're not following your guidelines, you have trustees that are sitting there like lame ducks. So make sure you're able to, make sure you have the tenure, the amount of time they are supposed to spend in your bylaws, okay? Everybody's in agreement with it. Everybody has read it. Then you now know how you are able to move forward, okay? So that's that. And then you disengage them nicely, you understand? And then during your annual filing, you write a new set of people, you know. And make sure you don't have board members that have issues with EFCC. Just make sure. Or any, because their gbese is your gbese. Do you understand? And that's a Nigerian slang for trouble, okay? So just make sure that you have people who are credible, of sound character and of good repute, okay, on your board.
Okay. Lara.
All right. Good morning, ma'am. Yes,
morning. I wish I could show my face. My camera decided to take a vacation today. Sorry about that.
That's fine, ma'am. Yeah, I'm the founder of Women Against Violence and Students to Handle Initiative way back. And yes, we have a theory of change, a theory of social change. And I don't know, there's a bit of a vision, mission, and goals and objectives included in the theory of change. But with the strategic planning, I don't know whether the theory of change is the same as strategic planning, or if they are mutually exclusive, or they should have a separate strategic planning apart from the theory of change. That's my first question.
Yes.
And
you know,
the
funny thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And another thing is I want to find out. Okay. Go ahead,
I'm listening.
Okay. Let me just conclude my question. And the second question is, I don't know when our foundation is having their next round of funding, grant funding. Yeah, I'd like to find out that as well. Thank you.
Okay, so that second question is for ACT, right?
Yes.
Okay. So with your theory of change, you connect, you do your vision, mission, objectives, you get what I'm saying? And then because it's programmatic, you need it to be part of your strategic plan. Do you understand? And then if you now have, because different donors have their theory of change, different projects have their theory of change. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when they come in with their theory of change, see if it is in line with yours. Do you understand? In some funny, that's why a theory of change should be a macro change framework. You get what I'm saying? It should be more macro, so that it's like a shark, it's like a whale, so that every program, every outcome, every activity is feeding into it. You get what I'm saying? Because because ACT Foundation will come to you and say they have their theory of change on health, they have their theory of change on entrepreneurship, their theory of change on leadership, and they will just say, hey, this is what it is. And then you now look within your organization and your strategic plan, your theory of change, and say, okay, how does this link? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that you now have long-term sustainability.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And when sending out proposals, do you have to include? No, you don't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was answering another question. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
I was answering another question. They said when sending out proposals, no, you don't. Most like organizations like ACT Foundation and others, they have their own proposal templates. So just follow their template and you take it from there. So I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Thanks. I see a question by Victor Balogun. How can nonprofits with similar thematic areas build a formidable consortium? like I talked about with regards to stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management. If I'm a nonprofit, I'm going to build a relationship with another nonprofit that's credible and that I trust, that would not get me into some sort of issue. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's important for nonprofits with similar thematic focus to build a formidable consortium. You just have to start. Do you understand? If you see a project description by one of the major agencies, or you see a project description by, like, for example, with regards to elections, you have the civil society situation. You get what I'm saying? They are quite vast, but you have that. Or you have another group that Spaces for Change developed, is the Action Group to Free Civic Space. So you don't start with, oh, we have money. You can just start with, okay, this is an issue. Let's see how we can address it. And it will be cost effective. It won't cost a lot of money. And then you do that. And by the time you now identify funding, it's easier for you to now call these partners. Start with nonprofits with similar thematic focus that you've worked with already. You get what I'm saying? If you're a new organization, make sure you find out who the established organization working on your own thematic area. Sign on to their mailing list. Go to their meetings. You get what I'm saying? Most of them will be launching one report or the other at Transcorp, or at Sheraton, or at one of these hotels. Just go network with other organizations, network with donors that are funding that similar project that that you can do yourself. So these relationships take time, and you should be part of your, and planning these kinds of things should be part of your strategic plan. Victor, I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Salmana, do you want to go?
I see a question from
hello, good, okay.
Okay, sorry, let me take you.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much for this your wonderful presentation.
Thank
you. You really try, you really help us. Even you adding value to what we are doing. Thank you very much, ma'am. But I see some of my question has already answered. But my last question is that can a member of board of trustee become a staff in an organization?
No, conflict of interest. Okay. Conflict of interest. The only board of trustee that can be a staff member is the executive director.
Okay.
So, for example, I sit on a board right now that the executive director is a member of the board of trustees. However, the executive director cannot be the board secretary.
Exactly.
So, so because of certain things, so if you are a member of the board of trustees, and you are the executive director, that will fly, but you cannot be the board secretary.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma.
No problem. Okay, so I saw something from Eberechukwu here. He said, can you establish an advisory board without going to CAC? Look, civil society, there is in the Nigerian constitution, you are free, it's freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of expression. So you are free to associate. You don't even have to become an institutional organization. But if you want funding from corporate entities like corporate CSR, like corporate philanthropy, like buy and multilateral agencies, you need to be a registered organization. But if you're not looking at that, you want to get funding from individuals, you want to just have a group of people that donate to you, that's completely fine. You don't have to be a registered NGO. Do you understand? You don't, because as a citizen of Nigeria, as a citizen of a democratic and open society, you can gather and come up as a group.
Okay, Rex, Emmanuel.
Okay, I see a question from Eso Asuku. Ma, if the executive director is not the chairman secretary, what can she be in the board? She can be nothing. She can just be a member. She can be the executive director and be a member of the board of trustees, but she cannot be anything. No, she cannot be the chairman. She cannot be the secretary. Do you get what I'm saying? She's just a member of the board of trustees. That's it. Because of conflict of interest. If you want to be the board chairman, you cannot be the executive director. You can't. It's different from corporate where you can be chairman / CEO.
Okay, Rex, do you want to go? Otherwise, Mafos.
Okay, let me know if my time is if my time is up. There are so many questions.
Yeah, we have about 15 more minutes, I believe.
Okay, I have 15 more minutes. Okay.
Yes.
You guys, let me go and get a drink of water, okay? Keep the questions coming. I'll be right back.
Hello.
Go ahead, Rex. You can ask your question.
Okay, my question I was asking is, all these explanations, and you're a new NGO, for instance, you registered, but you don't have a track record. Is it possible for you to access grant funding, whether from ACT Foundation or any other donor agency?
Okay, I just heard that question. So, with like I said, if you're an organization that just started, it is important for you to link up with an already established NGO. Okay, so for example, if you work if you do outreach for primary health in primary health centers about tuberculosis or something like that, make sure that you align with organizations that are larger than yours, okay? So that if they have a project that requires interventions in your area, in your state, in your LGA, they can give you funding to now implement, and then you report. That's how a lot of startup NGOs are able to gain more credibility, gain more experience working on a project. Okay, and it is that experience that donors that you apply to look at. Because for example, now someone like ACT Foundation, an organization like ACT Foundation, if they want to give you money, they want to do due diligence. They want to make sure, they want to see your annual reports. They want to see your annual filings. Do you understand? So if you're a new organization, at least try and operate for at least 1 or 2 fiscal years, so that you're able to have annual reports that you're able to turn in, do your annual filing, that donors like ACT Foundation, Ford Foundation, they are able to look at and say, okay, we can trust this organization to manage our money. Do you understand? Because to get money from donors is not just about you trusting them to give you money. They have to trust you that their investment will not go down the toilet.
Thank you so much. Mafus, do you want to go?
Yes, thank you very much for your support, Ma. So my question is actually on the issue of the strategic planning and the monitoring. So an organization, I am the founder of, so our board members, we've been having challenges meeting them to, you know,
the network is a bit poor. I can't hear you very well. Hello, I can't hear you very well. If you can put your question in the comments, that would be great.
Namdi, do you want to go?
Yes.
Hello?
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, this. Yeah.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you very well. If you can do me a favor and type your question. Type your question. I can't hear you.
Okay. Hello, since the network is back, can I say something?
Sure.
Namdi Richards on the queue.
Namdi, go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's been an awesome session. I actually follow you on LinkedIn, and I can attest, yeah, wonderful sessions. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I've mine is concerning the corporate governance. I mean, it's a bit painful for me because I tried to follow the rules. But as you were talking, I had to reach out for my mates to confirm what we actually put in there. And the members of the board, my long-term paddies, I guess that's what's made me reach out to each one of them. We've known for about 20 years, right from secondary school, but they've not been active. And looking at what they have on the articles here, it's 20 years. We've just done 2 years together. So I'm in that place where, and a number of people I've met in the course of doing the work in the last 2 years, and I'm like, hey, you should be on our board. There's a particular lady that I've been like speaking to, but I've just been thinking around it. So, Ma, what do you advise?
This is a really good one, and I just highlighted it. I think somebody asked a similar question, and I quickly said, well, dump on. But I had to retract because, like you said, some of these people are your friends, some of these people are family. You get what I'm saying? So what you do, just have one-on-ones with them.
Yes,
do you understand? Say, look, you're on the board of this organization. It's okay. You have other priorities. Things that are going on. Some people are traveling, they have work, family, they are busy. Do you understand? Says, I just want to see if, you can volunteer for us. So when we need you, we'll call you. But with regards to board, if you are not active, it will be very difficult for me to continue to function as a credible organization. And you're my friend now, you want me to be successful. So you just talk to them in a way where there's no love lost. So make sure you schedule those important meetings. Do you understand? And you talk to them individually. And then during your next annual filing, you discontinue them. And then you add your new board members. Of course, you have to meet with them, talk to them. In fact, there's an organization that is wooing me now, and I'm like, oh boy, it's just you have a conversation with them, the people that you want to join your board and all that. So that's what I think you should do. Don't just discontinue them, because you know what I mean. We humans forget to, as nice as we are selfish people. So if we feel slighted, it may cause more of a problem than a solution. So have a conversation with them, thank them for their service, just let them know how vital they are, that, we just want to move on, but that we're not discontinuing from the organization. When we're having activities, when we're having things we need your help, we will still engage you. You get what I'm saying? That's how you have that conversation with them, and then you discontinue them that way.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Then a second, will the recordings and the slide be made available at the end of the session?
We'll share the recordings after the session on our YouTube.
All right, thank you very much.
And Okuna Vincent, I hope I was able to answer, because you and Namdi are asking a similar question. So hope I answered your question.
Okay, Timothy, do you want to go next?
Oh, yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, so my question now is more on partnerships, right? So you have in the business world where organizations buy other organizations as a result of doing the same businesses. I mean, what are your thought process regarding NGOs coming together? I mean, most of the problems we're trying to solve existed 100 years before we came into this world, and 100 years after we leave. Because when you were talking about our succession plan, like, it really hit me. Because most times NGOs they see this thing as competition, most NGOs. So what are your thought process on partnership? I mean, and also still speaking on trustees. I mean, some trustees, just like the last person spoke about, they're friends, they've done things before, but life happens, people are busy. And so like, because the process of removing a trustee can be long, you need to inform CAC, publish and all of those things. So is there a structure around that? So that they're not removing trustees almost every year.
Like they said, make sure you have this conversation with them on time before you start your annual filing. Do you understand? And make sure that your constitution covers you. Look, revisit your bylaws, your constitution. What is the duration of a board member? Do you understand? So if I'm sitting on a board for like 3 years, it's time for me to either, you will now come and ask, do you want to renew or do you want to move on? Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So make sure you cover yourself. So before you do that, cover yourself. Talk to your current board members and say, look, we need to review the constitution. So out leaving, make sure that is in your board minutes. You get what I'm saying? And then you now go one by one to the ones that are not active, and then you let them. You talk to them since they are your friends now. You talk to say, we know life happens. There's no love lost. We need to move on. Do you get? They say no. You say, okay, we want you to come. If you don't come to the next 3 board meetings, we'll have this conversation again. No love lost again, Joe. Do you understand? So you have that conversation with them before before your next CAC filing. Do you understand?
Yes,
do it ahead of time, so that during your CAC filing, you now know what the list of people you're going to be working with.
Thank you. Just take a final 2 and then.
Sorry, the other question was not answered. Please, about
okay, which question?
NGOs coming together to.
Okay. Some of the most successful NGOs have coalitions and alliances. It's very important. So what is your thematic area?
So mental health. Mental health. Yeah.
Okay, good. So my advice to you is to have an advocacy arm of your organization. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if you want to advocate for more awareness of mental health, or you want some kind of policy on mental health, you need to identify a legislator, you need to draft it, you need to partner with various other organizations, see what they've done in the past. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then you can now start advocating for that specific legislation. Once you start doing that, do you get? You now are able to enhance your influence as an organization. Most influential organizations to date have an advocacy arm where they are able to advocate for a big picture reforms. Do you get? So that, because if you say, okay, we want to reach out to 10,000 people, we want to reach out to 10,000 people who are victims of mental health, whatever the causes are, people will be like, with how much? I don't have the money, or you're just speaking English. Do you understand? So you want a situation where you're coming up with like an advocacy initiative. Do you get? Then you come up with the concept note, you come up with what you want to do. Identify donor partners that would be able to fund something like this. You get? Organizations that fund advocacy initiatives. They may not give you much. They may just give you money for logistics. You need to go to Abuja, you need to go to certain communities, advocacy visits, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand? So you get some funding like that. And then before you know it, you've enhanced your influence. Coalition building, alliance building, extremely important. Identify the stakeholder. By the time you do your SWOT analysis and compare, you know how many organizations are working in your thematic area, in your state and around the country.
Okay, Kende, do you want to go next?
Sorry,
Can-
did you say
No, I said
anyone like?
Kendi, if you're ready. Otherwise, Yemi, you can go.
Okay, yes, I would, a very quick one. I just like to ask the facilitator about what are the star contents of a strategy plan that she looks out for, since she has analyzed for funders. What are the major contents that she looks out for that, yes, this is a star firm that will do very well?
Okay. So that's a good question. What I look at is, one, your vision, mission, and objectives. And also I'm looking at how you plan to meet those objectives and what you've done so far. Do you understand? I'll compare what your plan is and then look at it and juxtapose it to what you've already done. You get what I'm saying? To see how far you've come. So it's not just a document, it's what have you done to meet your objectives. Do you understand? Yes. And what I look for is clarity. Do you understand? And I look at, I'm not the only funder that's funding your work. I'm not the only funder. And I want to see the kind of stakeholder relationships you have for sustainability, especially with government agencies.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Did you call Bliss, please?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for this session. Okay, first of all, I want
ask
to.
my question now?
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So I wanted to get some clarity regarding the governance of the NGO. Yeah, I know that the executive director plays a role cross-cutting the admin and the programs, but there's this organization that has.
Can you talk louder? I can barely hear you.
Okay. Is it clearer now?
It's clearer.
Okay. So there's this organization that has two executive directors. One of them is an executive director of admin, and then the other one is executive director of programs. I don't know if it's in order, and if yes, can both of them be members of the? And then there are some other school of thoughts that also engage with some other consultants that have the mindset that the executive director can be the secretary of the board, and then but some now say cannot be voting members. So it's possible for the executive director to be the secretary and not be a voting member of the board. That's for that. Then I don't know if I can just say it, a little of my understanding about the theory of change and the logical framework. Yeah, I listened keenly to your presentation, and I noticed that you were talking about, you started with the outcome. Okay, you're talking about the long-term outcome and the short-term, outcome. I also know that for some, they also talk about the impact. They start with the impact when that's from top to bottom now. So we start with the impact. I want to know if the long-term outcome you're talking about, if it has to do with the impact. I know impact is
yes, it does. Some people call it impact, some people call it long-term outcomes. Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. And then maybe just a little way to relate the goals and the objectives and all that with the theory of change, which some also call logic model, some also call the causal pathway, you know, is that most times the impact relates with the goal, is derived from the goal. It's like the end of the goal. Then the outcome relates with the objective.
No, are you asking a question? Because so are you asking a question, or what's the question, please? Because I want to answer your question on corporate governance. Hello?
Bliss, are you there?
The network, I was really struggling to hear her.
Hello. Hello. Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So I want to, because you were going on and on about the framework. Are you asking a question or are you making a statement? Because I wanted to answer your first question.
Okay, then I was just trying to, make a statement of my understanding of the theory of change. Probably, yes, probably it could relate with you, or probably someone might get.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm just getting muted. I don't know.
Yes, yes, because can I just, we're both saying the same thing. We're both saying the same thing.
Okay.
We're both saying the same thing, but with theory of change, you're working your way backwards. Do you understand? You're working away from impact down to inputs, okay?
Yeah.
So it all has to be connected. So with regards to corporate, I don't know why you guys have 2 executive directors. You need a better structured organogram. Do you understand? Which should be your strategic plan. So what you need to do is, from your board of directors, you have 1 executive director who is the secretary to the board. So you can't have 2 executive directors and 1 is a board secretary and 1 is not. It's just an accident waiting to happen if it hasn't happened already. So what you do is make sure you have a board of directors, you have an executive director who is the secretary to the board. Then that executive director oversees a director of programs and a director of operations. The director of programs now monitors the program, manages the programs. You get what I'm saying? And then the director of operations manages the admin aspect, the tools that are needed to then manage the program. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. But you mentioned the executive director should only be the secretary of the board.
No, that is if the executive director is also, if the executive director is also a trustee. Do you understand? Look, when I was the executive director of an organization, I was not a trustee. Do you understand? So if you're an executive director and then you're a trustee and then you're a secretary to the board, it's just too much. But if you're an executive director, you get what I'm saying? You were hired by the board. You can be a secretary, make sure they have the minutes, you can be a voting member, whatever, but you're not a trustee. Do you understand?
I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Efua. We really appreciated you taking the time to join us today for our section. Sorry. We appreciated you taking the time to join us for today's session. It's been so insightful. And I'd like to invite the Senior Programs Executive to say thank you. And also
but please, may I tune in? There's one.
Okay.
And everyone, trust me. Hello? If you subscribe to my channel, all these.
Efua, you're muted.
Oh, okay. So in one way, fashion, or form, I would be able to answer most of your questions, okay? And if you don't see any video that answers your question, just revert back to the ACT Foundation team. They know how to reach me.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, hello, ma'am. Please do you mind sharing a link to your YouTube channel? I've asked that question several.
Share the link in the chat. I will share the link in the chat. We have to close now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of the ACT Foundation family, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for making time out to attend today's event. And I want especially to say thank you to Efua for you have literally taken us through a journey, on why we should have a strategy. How does it even connect with our running our organization properly? I'm hoping that you have gained one or two things from this event. And if there's something that you haven't been doing well that you need to start doing now, I want to say this is the best time to start. You need to start now. You need to start today. Thank you once again for coming. There will be another open conversation sometime soon. Please stay with us. We had dropped our podcast link in the chat room. Please follow us on our podcast channels and on YouTube. Once again, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone. Have a beautiful day.